Welcome to Coming About with David Paragamian, the podcast that dives deep into the minds of leaders who have transformed their businesses and industries, paving the way for a better future. Here's Dave.
I'm back with Olga Fleming, CEO of MMC. She's been sharing her unconventional path from aspiring diplomat to award-winning agency CEO, and opening up about those pivotal moments in her journey that have shaped who she is and how she leads. So Olga, I want to shift now to the focus on your current role. We all know that Marina Maher is an iconic female-led PR firm built by a charismatic, visionary founder. So building on that legacy, how have you been able to continue to drive that culture, especially as the business has grown and scaled?
It was obviously both an honor and a huge responsibility taking on this role. Taking over for a founder is the greatest challenge, but the greatest opportunity. Marina built something iconic in MMC, and it's a name that carries a lot of weight. And I really understood that as I was coming into the role. I knew that I had to protect that legacy while also preparing the agency for the next chapter. So for our clients, for our staff, stability was key, but so was innovation. And so I took over around the 40th birthday. And for me, that was critical because I wanted to pay homage to the first 40 years, but I also wanted to take the agency into new directions. So the first thing I did was I focused on listening, because how can you modify anything unless you really understand all its sides? I needed to understand what made MMC special and what also makes it unstoppable. So from there, I embarked on a bold rebrand, but I brought everybody at the agency into it. We looked at our values and we rewrote them together. Literally about 200 of us coming together, breaking out into groups and reframing who we were, what we felt was so important, and what defined us. Where we landed was this human first value that really celebrated what made us special, what made us different, a very inclusive and flexible workspace. And what we did was we looked at the legacy that Marina had created in being extremely creative, and we sharpened how artfully disruptive we could be with a little bit of an edge. My goal was not to fill Marina's high heels. I don't think I could ever do that. But I wanted to walk confidently in my own and bring everybody along with me.
Well, and you certainly have done all of that, both honored her accomplishments and legacy and created this next chapter. And I love that you talk about the way you accomplished the rebrand in the next chapter was starting with the collaboration and participation of people. Even though you as the new pilot had a sense of direction of where you wanted to take things, allowing people to participate, have a voice, that participation really leads to ownership. I think that's another important lesson. Equally as important as the people will get you to the outcomes that you need is that people participating really gets them involved as owners of whatever it is you're crafting. And it obviously shows in the work. I know that the business is also a really interesting business because you do work in consumer goods, healthcare, as well as in the more classic sort of reputation management at the firm level. And, I was reading that over the past 12, 18 months, you'd won an assignment both from Novartis and Sam's Club at the same time. How do you build a team and a creative organization that can be adept in something that's prescription pharma and really impactful in something that is classic consumer goods at the same time? Any lessons there for the listeners?
Absolutely. We get this question all the time, and we have the same answer. At the heart of every industry, people. So once you understand human motivation, what people value, what people hope for, what people fear, you can translate that insight across any industry. We're focused on health and consumer. Our business is pretty much 50-50. And where our sweet spot is where those two industries intersect. But it's also important for people who are communicating to patients or HCPs or anybody in the healthcare industry to understand the consumer behavior, how people interact with brands in the world. Because when people walk around in the world, they don't walk around as patients, they don't walk around with their diagnosis on display. They walk around as mothers, fathers, foodies, pickleball enthusiasts, travel junkies. They are so much more than that diagnosis. So, really understanding how they interact with the world as consumers allows us to create programming that meets them where they live. And then on the consumer side, what we're seeing is that there's a lot more scrutiny and discipline around brands and how they come to market and how they bring in consumers. No longer can you put out a brand without really understanding how that target audience might want to look at the ingredients in a product or understand how it's helping them in their wellness journey, whether it's a destination, a laundry detergent, or a shampoo. So really ensuring that we understand both sides of the equation is critical. And it's actually one of the reasons I believe that a lot of our programming goes from good to great because we have a full understanding of the scrutiny people put on brands from a consumer standpoint, but we also understand how patients interact in a consumer world.
Now, that's so well said. And, it's funny. I mean, I really believe that marketing is not a department. It's not an ad campaign. It's not a PR campaign. Marketing is about, as you said, it's about understanding that basic human insight, whether we're talking about packaged goods or pharmaceuticals, whatever it is, that drives some behavior and understanding how we can communicate with those folks in an impactful way and deliver a message that reinforces a belief, changes a belief. It's interesting. I can't help but harken back to where you started half an hour ago, which was talking a little bit about being that 7-year-old immigrant kid that came here and had to learn the language, learn the culture, thought you wanted to be a diplomat and a statesman person. And that is exactly what you became because all of those experiences of coming here, learning the language, watching people, integrating, made you obviously so great at understanding why people do things, why they say things, how they do things. So, definitely a shout out to your family, your upbringing, all those brave choices, because it's clearly made you so successful. Before we run out of time, one of the things I wanted to pivot to was that sort of that last chapter I always like to cover, which is now that you've had the benefit of 25 years in this business, if you could look back and give some advice to those that are starting out their careers and listening to you, what's something that you wish you knew then that you know now? What's some of that wisdom of the things you think about from a career journey that you'd pass along?
I've learned a lot, as we both have, I'm sure. But I guess I wish I had known earlier that perfection is not the goal. It's really progress. Progress is a human. Early in my career, I over-indexed on being polished and prepared at all times. We all do when we're young starting out. And now that I've learned that adaptability, authenticity, and what I think is the hallmark of great leaders, vulnerability, are much more powerful tools in growing as a professional than perfection. So I would tell my younger self not to worry about being focused on being just great in the moment, but also focus on learning from every high and every low so that you can eventually be very impactful. So don't wait for permission to lead. Be courageous because you are going to make mistakes, but every mistake is going to lead to an impactful moment. Own the mistakes, keep moving, and don't be afraid to make them. I think so much of us as young people, when we were young and starting in the industry, we didn't want to make mistakes. We didn't want to ask questions. We wanted to be perfect. And when we all realized that mistakes are what make you stronger, perfection doesn't lead to anything valuable, then that's how change happens, right? It's really one bold decision at a time, one risk taken at a time. I mean, if I hadn't taken some pretty bold risks in my career over the years, some paid off, but some that did not, I don't know if I'd be here today. Don't be afraid of the journey. Don't be afraid of the progress.
And don't be afraid to take risks, calculated risks, those changes. Otherwise, you'd be sitting as the American ambassador in the Greek embassy right now. You might be getting a great suntan, but we wouldn't get the benefit of hearing your wisdom. And I concur 100%, right? I mean, I think that it is about being able to take those risks, the calculated risks, and to learn from those mistakes, that those skin knees, those little scars are all great learning moments that make us better. And as leaders, and at the point that you are in your career, it's really nice when you can let people see those authentic, vulnerable things that, hey, this is how I learned this one the hard way. I want to help you so you don't have to quite learn it the hard way. Well, let me turn the last word to you. Is there anything else that you wanted to add? I really appreciate you sharing your personal journey, your family journey, some of the decisions and the incredible things that you've accomplished as CEO at MMC. Any last words that you wanted to share with the audience?
The industry is changing. Every industry is changing. Technology is taking over. We are adopting AI into our day-to-day. My advice to everyone is not to lose humanity in the equation. When we lose that, we lose our soul. And the reason why we create beautiful work in any industry is to impact others and create emotional connections. And so I would recommend that people not lose that humanity in a world of technology, because there's still so much beauty in the world that we need to experience on a day-to-day basis.
That's really poetic and well said. You're right. There's so many folks that are so fixated on what AI will or won't do. And of course, the whole thing about Gen AI is that it's retrospective looking, right? It's looking in the rearview mirror of the car, because that's how those models are built on all of the things that came before. So they certainly can't tell the future, and they certainly aren't the authenticity of human interaction, which is, as you said earlier, the key to what's made you so successful. Well, I've really enjoyed speaking with you today, Olga. Thank you for sharing your wisdom and your career journey with the audience. And we're super grateful to have you here on Coming About. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
Well, that wraps up another episode of Coming About. If you enjoyed the show, I'd appreciate it if you'd leave us a review. It helps others discover the podcast and join our conversations. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.
This has been Coming About. We hope these conversations have left you feeling empowered and ready to take your organization to the next level. To speak with Dave about your business transformation, or to learn more about Health Monitor Network, go to healthmonitornetwork.com. And don't forget to check out his book, Coming About: How We Transformed a Major Media Company and the Lessons There for You. Available wherever books are sold. Coming About with David Paragamian is a production of Advantage Audio.